तो उलटा झोप त्याला मला
चिडलं तू एकटाच नको असं जोक मारून पण चिडलं तू.
नहीं मैं तो सच बोल रहा हूँ भाई, वो तो जोक भी नहीं है, सच है, सच है, वो सच है, जोक जोक नहीं। 10 लोग बेडरूम में बुलाता है, रात भर सोता है उनका।
कर्नाटक लीग दिखता. अरे काय
10 लड़के घर पे बुलाता है, सोता है तू उनके साथ। और जी
Okay, some heal for them, some sustain.
बुलाता है ना, बस सच बोल, बुलाता है ना। 10 लोग घर पे बुलाता है रात को और 10 लड़कों के साथ सोता है ना।
एकच गोष्टी नको दाखवा तर नवीन काहीतरी बोल.
करता है या नहीं करता है, मैं सच बोल रहा हूँ, नहीं झूठ बोल रहा हूँ, ये बता।
नहीं
Have the
सिर्फ
heal
तेरे
bomb as
चुटके
well
देख के
with
मेरा
Dazzle.
मन करता.
10 लड़के घर पे बुला के सोता है ना उनके साथ, दारू पिला के।
Right now,
मेरे जैसे छक्के लोग को नहीं बोलता.
One or more, just like
लड़के बुलाते हैं, नहीं बुलाता।
there's the shadow wave
स्वतः
bomb.
पण
10 लड़के बुलाते हैं, नहीं
See this
बुलाता
Viper on the
घर
other side.
पे,
It's the
और
similar
सोता है उनके
it's
साथ।
like, what are the carries you
10
want to
लड़के
play into a
भाई,
Viper?
उत्तर
Like,
पेश है
nothing
मेरे
feels
पास.
good. Every lane feels like it's a
तेरे
losing
जैसे
lane.
नहीं.
सोते हैं ना रात भर,
Dazzle PL's
तेरे
good
जैसे
about
नहीं
it,
है.
you know?
सोते हैं ना रात
Feel,
भर,
but we've seen this PL
एक बेडरूम में बुला के
better
सोता है ना
lane
रात
for
भर,
PL to actually have a good game.
दारू पी के।
get on top of that Viper very easily. Actually, if you get healed by Dazzle, you can even all right in that lane. You're not going to win it most likely.
कैसे ही दरवाजा घर का भी बोल. तेरे जैसे लोड एटलीस्ट फील तो नहीं लेता. मैं अगर मेरा फैंटेसी रहेगा मैं वो कंप्लीट तो कर पाऊँ. तेरे जैसे नहीं लोड दूसरे के
सबने एक्सपीरियंस किया है,
Yeah, I think the key
मेरे
for
बातों से ही
Spirit
समझ में
is,
आती है
like,
चीजें।
playmaker,
तू जैसे बातें करता है ना,
like, you've got
उल्टा
this,
झोप
like,
लंड खेळाचा वगैरे वगैरे, त्यावरूनच मी इंटरप्रिटेशन काढतोय. त्यावरून तू म्हणतो की हा लोक बोलतो खरी आणि
कळतं की तुझे मित्र नाही तुम्ही कशाचे मित्र मध्ये बोलत नाही. तर तुझे मित्र असतील तर 7वीत 8वीतल्या बाली मॅथ शिकव, हे शिकव, ते शिकव. कळलं काय?
अरे पण 7वी 8वीतले उलट मोठे लोक अशी तुझ्यासारखे बोलत नाही बाळा. This is not how the world works. World works very differently. तू ज्या प्रकारे बोलतो तसं कोणच नाही बोलत.
तुझ्याकडे ठेव.
कळालं का?
I don't know how he's meant to
तुझ्या
deal with you.
प्रकारे बोलतो ना त्यावर
तुझ्याकडे ठेव.
The Kyle curse on screen. Also, Coddle, one of the reasons why he's so good is
इंटरप्रिटेशन
because he
घेतल्यावर
goes
मग त्याच्यावर मी तुला
able to
म्हणतो
view across the map with high move speed.
तुझ्या बोलण्याने बघ होत नाही. हे तुला कर्नाटक लीग
There's a
दाखवतो.
puck in the game.
Yeah, we just assume he gets banned. He gets blindsided by a late puck pick.
I mean, well, you guys also thought that the tiny would have been enough to dissuade. Why do you think LGD still favor it a lot despite that?
It's like what puck does is just so good.
And
It's incredibly good against the PL as well. You've got all the lockdown with the silencers, the dream coil. It just is going to make PL's life hard, and it's a hero that's really good at rotating to the PL's lane. So I think this probably puts Spirit's Tiny in the mid lane to address the puck, but puck honestly does fine there.
I think if you're Spirit, you just put the Tiny right now on that mid lane, and you pick a different position forward that can lane with Enigma. That's an option. You can still do some different style. You can pick a mid laner. You see PSG LGD, they are banning out the Void Spirit. They're banning out the best heroes that they think are left in the pool against the puck. Yeah, I think it's completely up on Spirit to decide. Do they want a Tiny on mid lane? Do they want it on Forest? It's very flexible.
Yeah. I know LGD are going to have the overall last pick, but I do want to ask about what sort of tempo you think they're going to try and look for in their carry. Do you want someone who gets involved very early on, can try and rotate a lot with the team, or someone who's going to be able to scale up against the PL?
They want fast pace. They want Roche taking. They've got Chen on their side with a puck. I don't think they want to necessarily have the game drag. At the same time, it's nice to pick maybe those like juggernaut type carries that have, they can play with tempo, but they can also fall back and use that maelstrom build to just farm it out.
The problem with Jug though is that Enigma offlane is very good against them
Absolutely.
because Enigma just controls the CS really hard in that lane. Jug, his strengths are his very good base attack time. He's able to have that kill threat with the spin. When your lane is constantly pushed back due to Eidolons and you are able to out CS him due to the Eidolons as well, it's very, very hard and it will set you back.
Yeah, you can see Spirit's bans like Lone Druid and Monkey. They're worried about some of these more like tempo pushing heroes. Monkey King can come fight, get involved early.
There's one hero still left in the pool that the Chinese region completely adores to play. He's not great versus Dazzle.
Yeah.
But he does bring you that ultimate late game potential. And that's Is this a decent game for it? Like you don't have a ton of damage in the chrono.
Rubik है ना समोर Enigma तर कोला
Pretty good against Enigma, I feel. Like it just gives you this, like you have this target to go and you're happy with how
ऑफलेन Enigma बरोबर तसलं बोर करणार मिड टाइनी Safe lane PL.
Oh, baby. I mean,
That's high.
their carry is not a real
Punch
carry.
mid.
Hey,
It's full
LGD
tempo.
say it's game one. It's a best of 5.
Leo
Let's
Madhya
do it in
Bagalayana.
fashion. We see them pick up the punch here. How much confidence do you guys feel in LGD now?
So much confidence.
Now
Yeah,
Leo
so
Madhya
much,
Bagalayana
yeah.
bagaयला
This punch, I love this punch pick. This has been like
Leo
the
Pukner.
bane of so many teams going up against LGD and these other Chinese teams. Their pudge has just been dominating.
I love it against
ते
PL as
इंडीचा
well.
8 होल्डर त्यांनी
When you
पॉझिटिव्ह घेतलं
itemize
नाही काय झालं
naturally
कुठले तरी
counters
मॅच
PL.
खेळत
I
होता
just love it. And last
एक
night I was just
बसला
around the
पॉज
corner,
करून
there's a
ते
bar
गेलेलं
called-
ते पॉप्युलर
I know,
बोट
it's a place
दाखवलं
called Pudge's Pizza.
All-star.
Fine.
Yeah, I love it too.
Main
You
game
put
नव्हती
Vanguard
बाबा.
into Axe,
Main
your
game मध्ये
partner
आहे
Chen
बस.
is going to be able to heal you and sustain you when you're
Opposite
going
में
into
खेली नहीं ना
fights.
भाई वो main
I
game में
think it's just fantastic.
So you're
Yeah,
all
but
in
yeah,
favor
I'm
of
too
LGD.
strong.
They have the execution, they have the skill, they have everything that they need to take game one.
ये
I
कधी नाही
won't
म्हणलं
write
पाहिजे
off Team Spirit just yet. I think their draft is also very solid.
राईट आर्म
It's
फ्रॉम
correct.
डाउन
Wings.
Playing the
Wings.
Yeah.
We have a
Wings
court
असतं का अर्थ?
Okay, but LGD still look like they have really strong lanes. Puck should be fine against a Tusk. Viper's always meant to win his lane. It looks pretty good for LGD through the lanes.
Yeah, the Spirit game plan to me is like, let's chill, sit back, and wait for our
चार
late
गोल
game time. It's
है,
like late
चार
game
गोल
black holes, late game
ब्रेंटफोर्ड
PL.
ने मारे
They're
4
the
गोल
team
मैन
that's
यू
going to be
क्या
able to make too much happen in the early to mid game.
Yeah, Tusk is gonna try. He's sure gonna try.
Can we quickly touch on
अरे
how
यार
you guys feel
इतना
that
लगे ना
Tusk
बड़ी देर देख रहा मालूम है क्या
matchup
मैं
is
इनकी
gonna
मैच
go
अभी
quickly, Lizard?
I just have to say, I did not expect the Tusk mid lane. They must know something we don't.
ज्यापासून मेस्सीने सोडलंय ना
We could
बार्सिलोना
see
त्यांचं
it play
फुटबॉलच नाही
out in
बघत
Spirit's favor
काहीच
for
वर्ल्ड
that
कप
mid
वगैरे
lane.
पडत
But
नाही
we're gonna jump into game one.
हा मी
It's gonna be lyrical.
कोपा अमेरिका
And
बघितलेलं
Gunnar.
कोपा अमेरिका
Thank you so much,
Last
Ned.
early
And
buggy.
Arlington,
Final
the
and
crowd, you
semi-final.
beautiful people down there. Y'all ready for a grand finals? That is so good to see all of you wonderful people there. Now, in the corner of my ear during that last panel, I heard something come out, and Gunnar, you were just like, they're going to pick Pudge. Why do you like this Pudge? What's the Pudge pick about?
It's really good versus the Enigma. A lot of like percentage-based damage. Flesh Sheep's good in PL. I
Yeah.
think the AOE damage, the control, it just kind of helps them out. They need a hero that runs in for them, and he kind of fits the whole budget.
टुडे which would
the mid Tusk
इधर अपना
teams, you know?
मैरीगोल्ड कॉम्प्लेक्स मालूम है तेरे को यार अपना एडलिप पे
What
रेड
about
लिप
in this game?
It's a little
उसके
scary
बाद में
spot,
वाइन
because
को
one of the
सबसे
big things
कसला
about
बड़ा
mid Tusk is
डालेला
the
उसने
snowball, and you can't snowball when you're coiled, which is a little scary
मेंशन
for him. But the
करके
matchup is
सबसे बड़ा
generally good.
बैंगलोर में और अभी
Tusk
सेकंड
kind of
पूरे
dominates these
इंडिया में
matchups where he's able to trade using shard
सबसे
on the
बड़ा
quick
इंडिया
wave.
में वो
And Puck
मैं
has, I think, like 0 armor level 1,
हाँ,
so
वो
he'll
तो
be
बोल
able to
रहा है
trade with Puck
सबसे
very
बड़ा उसका
nicely.
इधर है
They
किधर
probably made the choice because I
बैंगलोर
think
में
किसने डाला है
LGD's draft is all death
क्या
ball.
मालूम
They're
किसने
going to
डाला
stay as
है
a group of
सबसे
5
बड़ा बैंक
heroes.
सबसे बड़ा बैंगलोर में और सेकंड
The first one of the game. All right, Ame's already been practicing. Faith Beyond. He's going to draw that first blood as we get out to a roaring start here. Ame, look at that. LGD off to the races, getting that first blood.
Yeah, it feels like this draft really fell off the rails. You know, you go for this early tiny right away with how the opener sort of worked out, and then that's supposed to make it so the teams aren't willing to go for this puck, but then they see this Phantom Lancer, and of course one of the most complained about matchups that I ever see in pubs is, you know, getting pucked when you're playing PL, and they just whine because you just coil them the whole game and they're really sad. And then they're not able to throw this tiny mid, feeling like it's not going to have the right pacing for them right now. So I feel like Team Spirit have a lot of work to do in this early game.
The goal is Tusk, I think, is he's going to try to get Ags, and he's going to try to kick one hero out because they're going to have low damage to kill multiple heroes, but one hero they can probably kill. Chen's healing is more of a whole team. It's not one singular hero like Dazzle.
Oh my god.
The save.
He keeps catching him. Saving his buddy with one, killing with another, and Faith Beyond appreciating. Now Maposhka, you got to be careful. This guy hits pretty hard. But won't chase after Maposhka that much further. Picks up the bounty runes. And that indeed is going to be 2 apiece.
We're going to see a little
ये
lane swap. They're going to go aggro trialing. They're probably worried about the Pudge Enigma matchup. He can kill the Eidolons really easily. And even the person is a very hard matchup, taking them. So they're going to try PL versus this lane, but this lane is going to be pretty hard to
स्वैप के लिए असल
Yeah, and Mira actually making his way back up top as well, seeing the Viper and the Rubik there for poor collapse and saying,
त्यांना कॅरीला फॉर्म द्यायचं
you
ना
guys
म्हणून
just gonna
खाली
be a duo down
चेंज
there
केलं
instead.
त्याने
Yeah, it's going to take a little while for him to make the move all the way up, but already collapse playing on that Enigma. They're going to be a little bit of a tough time playing into both the Pudge and the Rubik. We talked about it in the drafting panel, but the
केलं
other
होतं
thing is
मध्ये
just
कोणी ना
like if
कोणी
they can get
असं
off to a
प्रो
good
मॅचेस
start, maybe
मध्ये
you can play with
परत
like a little
मॉर्फलिंग
bit
खाली
more
पाठवलेला
depth. We'll see if
आणि
they do it.
अपोजिटला वरती असं
But
काहीतरी होतं
the movement over, Mira scouts out
मॉफलिंगची मॅच कोणासोबत होती
the
आठवत नाही.
Xingqiu Rubik there. And be careful about any tossback plays.
This is going to hopefully, for Spirit, be a slower type of game. They scale very well, and LGD is all about these death ball right now. The Chen, this hero, we've seen it every game it's been played right now. It just goes mid at the 5-minute siege. It tries to take the tower. It gets this mech before 10 minutes, and you just group up. So much healing, so much team fight. And for Team Spirit, their team fight is there in the Enigma, but it's going to come out slower. Their damage numbers are a little lower. The PL is not the biggest carry right now to just go in with one item, especially versus all the damage that comes out from LGD.
Yeah, there's just so much AoE damage there. It feels like this PL is going to need a lot to deal with the Rod, especially with A being safe lane Pudge. You know, we've seen Pudge do all 3 of the core roles, and it looks like a great game to go Vanguard and perhaps games after that.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a hood on the PL. We've seen them go from time to time just to deal with all this magic damage. And the hero can't really buy a BKB just because it doesn't help your illusions.
Well, need to for sure. You saw a little bit of a battle going on, and we'll have another one here. Maposhka facing off against Y. Does keep on refreshing that poison touch. Has the purge creep available. Xingqiu though on the top lane. Mira able to find him for the punch and the kill, and Maposhka getting chased down that purge out of mana.
Mana नहीं है ना यार, mana
Can't
संपला
quite catch up
shit.
to the dazzle, but
Mana
this
देऊ
is
नहीं
setting
शकत ना रे
up for
आपण.
basically just a
Reachला
1v1 in this
असं
bottom
भाऊ
lane.
Arcane लागतं त्याला.
नाही
Yeah, the
Arcane
one
नाही
is going to
असं.
favor LGD side a little, but Guitar is
Mango दिसू शकतो का रे creepला?
तेच विचारत होतो, mango.
On mid lane, it's also very scary for Spirit because the Tusk has pressure but no kill threat on the puck mid. He has 2 ways to get out of shards. He can dodge the snowball if he gets patient. And even the supports of Spirit aren't going to be the greatest at just locking down a puck, but on top,
Nice body blocks.
Mira moving on in. One more punch gets it. The long arm Tiny with the help from the Eidolons runs at Faith Beyond and finds the kill on the Viper. So kills there for Team Spirit after that first blood.
Yeah, the lane swap should favor the top lane for Team Spirit the most. I think their probably goal is that this PL is going to have the greatest game. The Enigma is going to have a really good game. There's no BKB piercing disables outside of, I guess, Pudge. But hopefully he's the black hole target, so they can't really stop the black hole if he's in it.
Rubik's going to be the other big thing, but, you know, somebody else will take care of him. Get the PL at him or something. The Toronto-Tokyo Tusk matchup, like you were talking about, against the puck in the mid lane there, that'll be interesting to watch what those early rotations turn into.
It'll be interesting to see the item builds. Some of the item builds are different. I know Topsy goes for more of like a Treads and a Halberd, so kind of like a right-clicky build, versus like going
There's
unexpected.
going to be a phase shift. Thought there was going to be something. Nothing to say, just die.
These are really big kills for the Tusk. Tusk is he snowballs really hard. He's gonna max out his nukes and run around with these phase boots. So they're gonna look for him to break up these lanes, especially the Viper. If the Tusk runs tall,
Collapse. He's there, right on top of him with all the Eidolons. Will it be enough damage though? Slowly whittling down Faith Beyond. The stomp, it actually hits on the Eidolons, which means that they die on Collapse first. And then the turn as Mira gonna get ran down, toss, another couple punches, but they don't quite have the range.
Painful there, but nothing to say. Can't even get there for the second kill. Man, that Centaur did so much work. Stopping those Eidolons that little bit to ensure that they would grab the kill first.
And also, you can see Bayutaro has the Ring of Health in his inventory, so probably Toronto's walk to bot. I think this is probably the lane. The kill the Pudge is really tanky, and he has the Vanguard finish, so probably just gonna let him live down there and wait for the Enigma. I think they're gonna need his Black Hole to kick him out of this lane.
Ame, just always threatening, even before that level 6. It's so scary playing into this Pudge now.
Back on top.
Chance for Collapse. They're getting some good pressure onto him. Mira throws out the Avalanche, and Eidolon's close to splitting. Tossed back under the tower, getting Collapse killed here, maybe? Can he dodge out, juke through the trees? No. They get that kill, but the snowball and the chase down, Faith Beyond will die. So 2 for 1.
Okay, that is a level 7 Tusk though. Getting in there a little bit off. Meanwhile, Yaro still a little too far. But also the biggest thing about this Pudge is it's letting this jungle for free. So this mech is going to come really early from the side of LGD. It's putting more pressure because of what it's enabling. It feels like the more the Chen have progressed in this tournament, the more people are putting more eyes on it. It feels like those mechs have been slowing down a little bit.
Level 6 there. And gets the far spawn on the doppelganger to get a little bit of separation.
काय एक ते मोठं बनवलं की
He's actually
healing
retching the
सांगू
Witchblade. He skipped boots entirely. He had almost half the treads
Udla-
finished, and now he's just about the chainmail.
Udla हे
He's
नाही
probably
करत ना?
feeling bad about the
December?
death and the rotation that didn't really lead to much. So he's probably feeling like he needs this damage to kind of set up these plays.
नाही म्हणजे मी
Also,
असं
you're gonna get those phase
डिस्कसेबल
boosts
नाही
now,
होत
so
ना
perhaps an opportunity to roam around and
नाही
find something there. I
म्हटलं
mean, why
डिस्कसेबल नाही
jungling
होत
very
ना
aggressively?
एकदम पहिली गेम पण ट्राय कर रे पेज व्हिडिओ वाली समजून घे मालूम ना कसलं गांड दिसे
Pops the phase, going right away. Walrus
पहले
punch.
2 गेम ओजी को
Forced to
जीतने
jaunt
दिया फिर
out
2
the
गेम खुद
shards.
जीते
Catches right on the edge and just throwing
फिर
all
ओजी
the
ने तो खुद
abilities
दी
there on the nothing to say.
Yeah, trying to take some of that space away. So why is just occupying the dire jungle there? Gonna run into Yami.
Finds him. Goes in, force some damage. They hurl the boulder onto the illusion. As they move in and Coil is out, they focus on the wrong piece. That was a really well played juke by Afro. Now with Maposhka and Toronto Tokyo here, they might all be in trouble. Ame trying to find a target, stay onto it. Brought down somewhat low. They find a hook through the melee of all those creeps. So they lose the dazzle but get away on the PL.
Meanwhile, the roll though to secure the haste rune for himself on Toronto Tokyo. Now Xingqiu in trouble. Has to throw a toss back, but there's help.
Yeah. Avatos, Walrus Punch has a haste rune still bottled. So this is going to be a strong moment for Team Spirit.
The really nice thing right now for Spirit is this Tusk and this Dazzle have so much HP between the two, between the healing, between the Grave, that this Tusk is kind of able to just run in. The Chen doesn't provide much damage. This Rubik does not provide much damage, so he's kind of getting a free game to just enable himself to play in the enemy side of the map. And always just constantly go on.
Yeah, I like how he just whittles him down all the time to put that threat onto him.
Ooh. And if there was no Chen there, might have thought about it.
Rotation up top. Toss back on the Faith Beyond.
इथे वॉर्ड बघ ना रॉसिनच्या समोरचा कसा होता
Bit by bit, turns around with the Viper strike, but Mira is dropping low. It is going to be enough to kill him off. One for one exchange, but this is the tiny for the Viper. It's kind of what you like to see if you're Team Spirit. They're finding good kills here, but still not a huge separation in terms of net worth. Ame is still top of the charts.
Yeah, he's farming up there with the very strengthened as well.
Yeah, all this net worth right now are based off of this lane swap. Putting the PL in the off lane because it's giving this Enigma a really nice game. This Viper, anytime he walks up, the Tiny just gets behind him. He has a great angle, but the PL is still very far behind. And this hero, we've seen it. It needs a lot of items. It needs a lot of time. And right now, a lot of heroes are just very fast. So it's a little scary when this hero starts to fall behind.
Yeah, if they can manage to sort of carry that momentum through for the rest of the
season,
start taking out some of those objectives, definitely Team Spirit might be on the back foot there. And Facebook's done. Queuing up the Iron Scepter immediately afterwards. We'll see where Ame wants to go to try and make use of that net worth he's built up. Snowball, on to nothing to say. Doesn't have a way out, has a coil though. Already used the punch, couple more punches, more than one, but it's not enough. They break the coil, and that's going to be a big jump in there for the Grave, the turnaround. And now Ame still trying to hunt, but they have the chase, the pendants, the deep stolen away. Can they do it? Find the target, needs to get over the creeps. He finds it. Oh, back over onto Y instead. Thinking about a turn with the DD punch. No, just is going to give up his life. Instead, they toss Y underneath the tower, have a couple more poison touch punches, tries to bring him down, avalanche, and it's a finish. So they get something out of nothing on Team Spirit, and yet Ame is still chasing, ready to hunt, ready to hook. Finds that kill onto Tiny to boot, and well, an avalanche stolen by Xingqiu could have set up from Maposhka, but they won't go for more.
You know Ame's hitting that one right there. That is a scary sight too, to give up the avalanche like that when they're looking to get even more aggressive onto your side of the map. Smoke up that Rubik perhaps right after this and just keep this going.
It's starting to look a little scary because I was questioning how LGD would try to involve this Pudge. Going top is pretty awkward in the Enigma. He can always pull the lane back with denying a creep, and walking into the side is generally a death threat for yourself. So right now they kind of bring the fight. LGD bring the fight to themselves. They kind of bring the tower with nothing to say. They get the coil, and Ame just kind of jungling in the area.
You can see though. I mean, you can kind of understand that ability aspect when you look at the network strategies. Like this Pudge is huge, but there is a solid tri-core here from Team Spirit occupying the top of that chart.
I guess the question is going to be how strong is that timing when LGD do decide to fight. And can they wait out longer? I mean, it's time to push back a little bit more. The Viper just finished the Hand of Midas, the item of the tournament, Golden Glove.
And the hunt begins, gonna find why.
Bring him on in there, and A couple quick swipes is all it takes, and now Ame kind of left alone. They do a black hole nearby, as well as Yadro in the area, thinking about dropping this, threatening the black hole, but Toronto Tokyo, he just dies. Now, can they go for any more? Yadro very far in there. They think that this is the real PL, but it's not. He's instead chasing Xingqiu. They get a little bit baited there, but now he's so far deep, I don't know if his team can help him. And in fact, they throw out the Avalanche. That breaks the TP. Yadro, he's so far back. Again, they're baiting it with the other illusion, but they find the real PL, and they're going to chase down and kill him. The bait did not work, but maybe they get something here. Maybe Ame just kills them all. He's still staying alive for a very long time. The Chen Heal Hand of God keeps him back. And that fight working out very well for LGD.
2000 हेलते त्याची 12 मिनिटाला.
He's just walking at 3 heroes. Also at the start of the fight, the control from Nothing to Say, he goes on the backline supports, he silences the dazzle so no grave comes out. That's why Toronto Tokyo died so early in the fight. He didn't have the healing, no save. He gets so much.
Finds another. Mira, just get away from him. He tosses him out.
He's like
taking the counter keeps going up, even though he's not getting a kill every time.
That is quite the setback for Spirit, though, because they were taking that time to farm it up a little bit. And Yadro, he joins in because he knows that they really want to get involved right now because LGD has this game plan. And it looked like a situation where maybe he could try and help out. But despite all his ridiculous jukes and the attempt to look like
but Agnem is the way.
Not able
Agnem
to
is the way, no other option.
He's going to go back to the jungle for a fairly long time.
Open up the pudge is like shit.
My worry is that
Agnem
I think Team Spirit was kind of happy, and they're kind of forcing the plays, it feels like, on the side of LGD. And I thought this was what LGD kind of needed to get back into this game. They don't really have the best tower pressure. They had no ways to kind of group their heroes in this top side of the map, and they always wanted this Pudge to be involved. And when you bring the fights to the Pudge, he can still keep farming, he can still keep juggling, and he just ends up being there. No extra movement at all.
Oh, that pressure is up top right now. Nothing to Say, just hitting the tower. Chen, Rubik following up here, and I'm sure Ame willing to join as well. Unfortunately, he's sitting at like no mana in the raiding jungle right now as he farms towards that Agnem Scepter.
नाही पहिले तर हेच अच्छा याला म्हणतोय कोणाला म्हणतोय तू पज ना पज पहिले तर ॲग्नेम घेईलच ते ॲग्नेम बीकेबी अँड मग ते काही घ्यायचं तर खरंच जसं तू बोलला
That's what they needed.
खाली बघू आता इथे काय
Look at this.
This is not good. Gets the Phantom Rush away. Ame still with the chase, still with the hook. Needs to be careful. Does a little chase. That gets out such simple minds. All right. Hold on.
It was a nice play for LGD to go top. They just finished the mech on the Chen, so that's probably their biggest timing right now. Viper's going for this Force Staff after the Midas. The Puck just got a Witchblade. Pudge is just waiting another 2,000 gold for this Ag, so they're kind of trying to take their timings when they get them.
Still yet to see a black hole in this game from Team Spirit, but does have the Blink Dagger. That Urn of Shadows.
There is a chance that maybe he can get a punish if they get a little bit too aggressive on the side of LGD, but it certainly is a lot of heroes you can worry about, right? Several silences, even with the Blink Dagger being there, that Rubik being available as well with the 8 points already completed for Xingqiu and 3 points in the Arcane Supremacy. But Mira runs up very boldly in the mid lane.
Double Avalanche, not something you always see. Trying to find the toss back, can't get there. Grave, TP out, anything to break in. Yes, there it is. Ame on point again, 3-0-3 on the carry Pudge, and the Avalanche from the low ground. Tiny's pretty good when you just get the skills and jumps through, brings down Maposhka.
He was going for that Grave, trying to help cover Toronto Tokyo just in case, and sniped right away there from Nothing to Say.
This is really nice. Ame is always in the right position. He's always showing up to the fights, and LGD always kind of finds the angles, especially in the back line. Nothing to Say is doing a great job at coiling who he needs to coil and just not letting Spirit get their spells off.
Yeah, and I think also just trying to keep Yadro out of this game as well. Like that play when they went top for the tier 1, and they didn't bring Ame. I feel like a lot of teams, the second the fight occurred, the Pudge would have TP'd and tried to join up and everything, but he's trying to hold that bottom area and just zone out Yadro like we saw. Even if he did get the final kill, he's able to do that. It kept him farming on the bottom side of the map. They didn't end up really needing him up top, and now he's going to have that Aghanim's finished.
Fusel is finished for PL, so maybe there's a timing that Spirit will look for. The Vessel's also, I think, about to be finished on Enigma, so this is getting to the point where you kind of want to use your timings, try to go take a fight, but they will be walking to this death ball, and the Ags is finished now on the Pudge.
Yeah, and they're going for the BKB right away from Toronto Tokyo, so he's not going to have that mobility option in here, but perhaps that's just going to be a Mira, right? I mean, he got the blink on the earlier end, so going to be the first one in there and see if Toronto Tokyo can clean things up with the BKB.
So only 3 members of LGD in this side of the map collapse. Will spot that Ame is here. We'll see if the rest of them decide to head on in the team to take this fight or not. Toronto Tokyo, they're all nearby. Doesn't really look like it. They're just going to send the Chen creeps in first, and the shards, that reveals that everybody was in that spot.
If you went BKB on this Tusk, because right now they need someone to run in for them on the side of Spirit. The Tiny wants to be the one who blinks in. He doesn't want to get spells cast on him. Enigma wants to get black. Wants to get spells off. So they kind of just need a body in front. So he goes BKB so that he can walk into the Puck, the Viper, the Punch, just get his spells off.
You mentioned it, the Spirit Vessel done there, and the scan going to not connect. So Team Spirit reset, retake over their jungle after they get bullied back to LGD, but they're smoking again.
There is going to be an imbalance here as well because we have a healing on both sides in the sense that we got the Chen.
Problem है कि black hole में गेला बनना
out there that does reduce every
तेरे पर जो बंदे BKB ना हो तो बंदे black hole तक का फायदा नहीं है.
All of those can be knocked off here if they're in the vicinity of that.
कारण की first तर पूर्ण black hole टिकणार आहे आणि त्याचे rod सुरू असेल
He actually doesn't notice that his smoke
तर enigma पण डोल जाणार.
TP out.
Nicely played. Yeah, making use of that PL illusion down on the bottom lane, and they make that entire smoke gank fail. So Team Spirit dodge another engagement, as it is another fight. That is a hell of a build.
So Spirit wants to go to the late game.
Yeah.
They want to get the gold. They want to go 40 minutes. That's all they're going to play. They're going to use the to connect to the team to fight. It's more to be TP away from where the enemy is, so you get those extra gold, those extra camps. Get delay the game by a minute.
I love this. The dire support's coming in and farming the Radiant Ancients. You just need everything in the situation.
नाही Spirit कडे scale म्हणजे यांच्याकडे LGD कडे scale नाही आहे.
It's all good, but Spirit, they've already got their belt for today. We'll see if they got that stamina to keep it up throughout the entire rest of 5. So far, a 3,000 gold lead for LGD. After that fight in the Radiant jungle, it's all kind of looks in their control.
It's like an arms race. Every time I click one of these cores, there's a new item coming out, right? The Blink Dagger on the Pudge, that BKB is completely when you actually get to the point that you want to fight here for LGD.
I think LGD is ready to fight at any point. They just kind of need to take a good fight on their terms versus the side of Spirit that they aren't really willing to fight, so they're just going to keep delaying the game over and over. So for their on Spirit side, they're just kind of trying to push the lanes out, kind of play the map, versus LGD trying to close them in, and that's why you see them constantly smoke up. They're trying to find the
fast. No, he can blink in time.
And only stolen toss, but this opens up Rouge for him now.
You know, that's where you're going right away.
So into the pit they go, and LGD at the very least should be able to claim this. I don't imagine it's want to come to contest, but they're all spreading out to push each of these lanes as far as they can go. First Aegis, watch and see what LGD can get as they get it.
It's not too big of a deal. You know, if you want the game to go late, one Aegis doesn't matter. It's when the second, the third that really matter. And it's just really hard for Spirit to take a fight right now. Dazzle's having really big trouble playing versus Puck right now. Even the Pudge hook with Coil is a really nice combo. And so LGD's just kind of walk around the map as 3 or 4. Maybe the Puck will be alone in split push and just kind of try to close out the map.
And of course, these heroes, not as effective as some of the other ones. When we think about Puck, this is what Puck does so well, trying to push out the lanes and not get caught. For the side of Team Spirit, they need to do these illusion plays that we've been seeing. They need to sort of, go in with an Avatos and then blink out, get the heck out of dodge.
I see the Dark Troll Summoner up top.
Oh yeah.
Eyes on the prize,
They're ready. Down to pressure. Can they get this tower down?
At this point, they might try to wait for the Enigma BKB just so he can get one good black hole off. Because it's really scary to play Enigma into these drafts where you mess up your black hole, you give it to the Rubik, now they have a Chen. They have a Rubik with a black hole, they have a Pudge, and they will walk high ground at that point. So he's kind of trying to use the black hole as more of a threat rather than an actual spell.
Oh, well, Team Spirit, and they can get a little bit of a trade at the very least, some pressure on the tier 2. Can't even grab that tier 1 right now. And yeah, the march does continue. Omega see if he can hit a nice hook here.
Looking for it.
Here we go.
Coming in. They have the Tusk back in a second. Ava looking for something more. Nothing to say. Right on top of him. collapses nearby. The shards are out. Doesn't manage to wrap anybody in, but look at the damage just that couple of seconds did to the tier 3 tower.
I absolutely now he just gets avalanched out of his way.
This is really nice. Team Spirit trying to bait LGD in. They still have the Tiny for the toss, so all of their fights are still going to be trying to bait LGD in to take these fights, these long fights. PL now has the shard, and once he gets the shard, it's kind of, you play for the really long fights. You want to get multiple rounds of your spells off. The Enigma wants to be able to kind of wait for them to waste their stuns or their heroes get out of position chasing and he gets a black hole. But LGD just backs off. They take their free win, the 60% damage, and just keep playing them out.
And you can see how hesitant they were too, like going up to the high ground, just popping the Flesh Heap right away, right? Like punching into that tower just in case.
Yeah, and once this BKB comes out for Pudge, he's going to be pretty hard to kill. The Enigma's percentage damage is good and bad. Numbers can get so high that the Flesh Heap doesn't matter, but as of now, it's not really going to do much.
Yeah, it feels like you just can't solo people anymore, you know? You can't get that like full burst down, but you know, if you catch him at full HP, it obviously does still an incredible chunk of damage. Unfortunately, it is magical these days too, so a bit rough versus the Pudge.
Well, 22 minutes in and 2 tier 2 towers taken, along with a good chunk onto that tier 3 up top. Outpost also gone away, and Spirit haven't even managed to take that mid-tier 1 tower yet. They're delaying, and they've done this a lot throughout this tournament when they've fallen behind. But against LGD, it does feel like it's kind of a different story.
You can see the way Ame just kind of walks through his own jungle, and he already hooks in the trees too. He's trying to find them, kick them out. He has no threat on him. He still has 2 minutes left on the Aegis, and even if he doesn't have the Aegis, it's really hard for Spirit to kill him without 5 heroes, and even then. With all the healing.
Right now, it's basically just Midnight Pulse that I'm worried about. And then the BKB comes out and it's like, now what? You know?
Right.
Maybe they burn his mana. No Flesh Heap.
Yeah, maybe just ignore him.
But he does so much damage these days. It's really hard to just ignore the hero.
Yeah, hard to deal with. It's not just a Wraith King with a Radiance, you know? This Rot Aghanim Scepter is just a ridiculous amount. So if he can still stick on you, it does not feel good to just let him be.
I do like this pickup from Faith Beyond. He went for an Atos and he's going to go into a Gleipnir, which is actually one of the better items versus PL. It doesn't let him doppel. It works on all the illusions. It even works on Invis. So it's just a nice kind of way to deal with this PL so that they don't always have to need to coil to lock it down.
Or even then you can also chain it after the coil as well, since you know he might have better initiations there from Nothing to Say. And what are your chances to save that as well, right? Again, you can't go for the snowball play out of the leash, but you can out of the Gleipnir.
Right. Yeah, you can pull somebody there at least if you are sort of a bit further back. So that could be the answer.
So another nice thing about the BKB on Tusk, it kind of allows him to not worry about the coil. So he can still walk in, snowball them, and as long as he himself isn't rooted, he'll be fine.
Yeah, then you're all good.
But again, the Aegis will be expiring in 30 seconds, but they're now up 8k gold. I think that was 5k gold they gained, about 1k per minute for the side of LGD during this Aegis. And that's kind of what you want. They don't care about ending this game. They're still in the lead.
Right. Now, it should be noted that a decent chunk of that gold is onto the supports. If you take a look, they're still building up on the PL. He's further behind the Pudge. But if Yadro can get some more time to himself with the Sanjin Yashin and trying to get in towards that hard next, then things maybe start looking not as tragic as an 8k gold lead usually feels at this point. But still, it's pretty freaking rough. We'll see if LGD can keep that momentum going here, though.
Yeah, oftentimes, even when you're really far ahead, you can't stop all 5 heroes from farming. Generally, there'll be 1 hero. Sometimes they're even just the number 1 on the net worth. But the biggest that you can see is the Puck and the Viper, the mid and the offlane. They're always the ones that show which team is really far ahead, just on the difference.
And about, 1,000, 2,000 gold separating them and the Tusk and the Enigma?
Yep.
Now they're just closing out the map as well. They have the gem on Nothing to Say, so just hopping around, catching that vision, and
still feeling 50-50 right now. Interesting.
See what happens.
That's both of them. That's a good 2 to get, and Ame with the BKB right on top. Something tells me this 50-50 might be changing very quickly as they lose the PL and the Tiny.
You know, PL can be a pretty slippery hero, but not so much versus the Coil in a situation like that. He just had no options at all.
Just a really nice read. He knew where they were in the trees. He got the vision of them with the orb, and it was just a really nice play. Very fast. They caught them before they were out. Which, that's kind of been the name of the game for Spirit. They force LGD to go to them. They never TP early. They always TP right before they get hit. And it's just kind of consistent. I know a lot of people talked about Yatoro at the last TI, where all of his TPs were 1 second before the stuns would land, right? It was right before these these ganks, but LGD is even just a little bit faster right now.
Well, they had a lot of time to think about it, I'll tell you what. And they are now taking a little bit of revenge here as they go up for the tier 3 towers. No buyback, wouldn't want to use it anyway. 20 seconds before he's back up again.
Still have stolen avalanche.
The toss back.
Look at that. He knew the blink was coming in.
But the Walrus Punch to interrupt the Hand of God, it's not enough. Maybe it's going to be enough for the turn here, though. They find Toronto, Tokyo. Now they're in pretty far. The shards catching them. They miss actually trying to pull on the and collapse down on the low ground. Finds the Rubik. The Walrus Punch. Oh my goodness! Spirit did it again.
What the fuck?
The triple kill from Toronto, Tokyo. Sets it up perfect.
Great play by Collapse. Sees the Rubik lurking in the back, has the shard as well, so thought maybe there's some sort of
third skill.
no
Third percentage damage
and disables that potential turnaround.
A little unfortunate. They missed like the Hurricane, I believe it's called, on the Pudge, so he was stuck in the base. But it's again they're forcing LGD to dive the base. They get the toss on the Viper.
And any solo black hole
and as they keep diving forward and forward, they have to fight in the midnight pulse, the potential black hole.
And there's the Hurricane you just saw as well. Got the Satyr out, you know, can't help his butt.
Solo black
A little bit of a misclick when there's too many creeps around. Downside, can't do it on the portraits and all the melee. Down to 6k gold lead again. How much does that change with Roche now respawning too?
That was an instant Roche. I think it was 3 seconds right after
that was very
had the chance. So thankfully LGD is probably still in command. They're going to feel a little bad, but they still have all the healing, the team fight. The puck didn't go down, so they can probably just go try to control this top jungle, take the outpost.
Do you think they're in a hurry to try and get there before the Black Hole's back?
In some sense, but at the same time, Team Spirit doesn't have the greatest rush team. I think the Chen, even just the Chen and the Viper can do it for LGD, so they're not too scared. They're not worried that the Spirit will sneak Roche, but they just want to get control of the area. The biggest thing is this outpost for buybacks. So once they take this outpost, they kind of get to hold the area and play as slow as they want.
Oh, that is not the real one. But Vision up on the high ground, and I believe Team Spirit will recognize that as they head on in. A scan from the Dire reveals that there's some people there. Now, if they know that there's been an instant Roche spawn, they're sending in the illusions.
They're like
going to know exactly.
They saw Yadaro and Mira as well. They showed on the wave together, so I think they feel pretty confident here as LGD.
There's still 60 seconds on Black Hole, so they probably won't contest. And this is really nice because it's probably going to get the Shark for the Pudge, which will help them survive these dives in the base.
Yeah, especially those potential toss-back plays.
Oh, it can make such a big difference. Well, the early spawn ends up usually helping in that instance. And Team Spirit going to have to play some more of the dodge game for at least the duration of this Aegis.
So they're going to probably lock it. They're going to have the mech. They're going to have the Hand of God. They're going to have the puck jumping in to disrupt. Pudge with the saves. Rubik with the telekinesis saves as well.
First this 40 minute timing
to get themselves another fight win, but it's going to be very tough this time.
Octarine Core as well on the puck. I think that's when the games start getting really tough to play versus Hero.
Yeah, we saw that even just in the series yesterday.
Right.
For us, sir.
But on the other side, Yatoro's almost with his heart, which will kind of let him actually... The heart is generally the item that lets the Peel illusions not die instantly, so he's really close. It'll let him actually be more of a threat in the fights. And again, Dazzle needs all the bodies he can get. He wants to be able to get his spells off, because the more spells he gets, the shorter cooldowns they are, the more spells you get. And it's kind of a snowball, but he hasn't had the opportunity to grave or heal at kind of anyone. It's either he'll just die first, or they die too quickly for him.
Starting to get a couple of those items that allow Team Spirit to play their draft the way that they want to.
It's suffering
take a look. It's been very much a couple of heroes that have done all of the damage. You saw there the damage Yadro was doing on the PL. Basically nothing, as it's just been hitting creeps constantly, trying to get to this state. And for a side of LGD, they immediately build back up their lead, and now trying to put some more pressure on the map.
So the question is, how do you go high ground in the situation where there is the black hole, there is the toss back? Sure, you have some saves and everything, but I mean, as we saw up top, if you get this big toss back in the middle of the base, do you think LGD just like fully commit and try and get the heal plays out from there and just need to have the confidence in the Aegis, or are they going to try and wait for some sort of a mistake outside on the map?
I think the scariest hero right now is Enigma. Anyone can get tossed in and they'll be fine, especially the Pudge. The Pudge wants to get tossed in.
Yeah, sure.
But if they're not able to control the Enigma, stop his black hole, stop his blink, kind of not let him play the fight, that's when it gets tough. So if they get tossed in, they need to make sure that they get the Enigma. Otherwise, they might just have to try to hope for a hook, and if not, they just let him die.
Ooh, tried to catch nothing to say, but Puck, a hard hero to connect onto. Like you mentioned, that heart just now completed. And Toronto Tokyo still trying to find a moment when they can catch somebody out there.
A nice read from Toronto Tokyo. He bought a Desolator this game, which is
Usman ne Agni kaad liya.
last fight. Top racks.
Finds Mira again. Nowhere to toss to. Tries to get him away, but it's not going to happen. And Stolen Avalanche interrupts it that much more. And on the other side, they find Maposhka. Gem just picked up.
He doesn't even steal spells this game. He just steals Avalanche.
That's right.
It's just another spell for Rubik. He needs the Aghanim so that he can just try to steal something else.
Dude, it's crazy.
We might not see an Ags, but the nice thing about Ags, if he does get it, is the Black Hole. It kind of always gives you this opportunity to steal it. And even with the buffs now, once he's level 18, it's always a 4-second cooldown.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous.
Which helps him a lot.
Uses Dismember. Thought it was the real PL. It is definitely not. Midnight Pulse dropped down as Faith Beyond starts beating away at these racks. They have the illusions that are going to get sent out. Tries to burn through them, slowly whittling down Ame.
But another one here.
Yeah, and there's the regen. He's perfectly fine with that as they move on in and take LGD. Just cool as
nice toss back into the blink. Great exit strategy there from LGD.
Faith Beyond finally getting a BKB, so again, when he gets tossed, he's probably their target right now. He's the only one that I think is realistic for them to kill early in the fight. The Puck has a lot of HP, has a lot of heal. He's just the Puck. Punch slow ages, and he also has 3,000 HP with Flush Sheet. So they're going to try to kill the Viper every fight. And as I was saying earlier, the Desolator is really nice because all the heroes in LGD so it's allowing him to burst. That's why playmaking heroes from like 40% health. But now Ame's
hero rarely खेळतो ते टँकर टाइप हिरो घेतले तरी पण प्ले मेकर खेळतो.
And they've been waiting a long time for the perfect fight. Is this it? It doesn't look that great to start. Mira in trouble. Look, they connect for that kill, and the Shadow Blade in Toronto Tokyo can't find the right target. Has to just TP out. In the midst of all of this madness, and Pudgy's dropping down pretty low there, but a Force Staff keeping Yadro a little ways away, and they want to wait for that Aegis to expire, but still 18 seconds. TP's out, looks for more. Do they decide to go in on this? It's too scary. They can't go for it. So in the end, it is just Mira that goes down.
This is a nice disengage. I got really worried. They had a sentry down. They caught in Toronto Tokyo with the Shadow Blade that he just picked up. And he would just BKB TP'd out, and then, you know, PL is able to juke. And this Enigma, you can see how much both teams respect each other. The Enigma is always holding back, and at the same time, LGD, even Ame goes for like the blind hook up the high ground, just assuming where he's hiding. It's just really nicely played.
I got very close now. I'm not quite able to grab it, so LGD keep their control of the map. That won't be the game-ending fight just yet.
You know, to me, what's interesting about this is it feels like in all the other games that Spirit play, they sort of wait back, they hold their position, and then they try and find that perfect moment when somebody makes mistakes. And I'm just not seeing LGD make mistakes. That really feels like it's the problem.
It certainly makes it a little bit more difficult, but we even saw today versus Acer as well. The fights, there were about 3 different times where they just became standoffs. Each team recognized what the other one wanted, they were both there, and everyone just like backed away. And that just comes down to like having that great positioning and not wanting to go until you have the perfect vision situation here. And that's partially what Team Spirit are doing right now as they make their way through their own jungle, trying to get down these wards.
You can also see Force Staff picked up by both LGD supports. So they have kind of saved now for the toss. They have a counterplay. Even the Viper has one. So, and the Puck is mobility. So Pudgy's kind of the only one who's unable to get himself out of a toss, but he's just a Pudge, and they want him to get into the fight.
He's the one sending himself in. When that smoke broke last time, he just jumped right in. Didn't even know that he landed right on top of Yadro.
And a refresher next. Everybody loves refreshers.
So tanky.
Yeah, 4,000 HP is pretty good there.
Double BKB. Just a really nice item. And at the same time, they're going to smoke, D-Ward. And Yatoru's going for the Bloodthorn. He's trying to replace his hood to give him the magic resistance with the Mage Slayer.
Ready to blink it again. Finds them all. Hello, everybody. I'm here. Come say hi to me. The leash, but the Black Hole turnaround. Is it going to be good enough? They all walk into it. How did he get it all off? They try and bring him down. Is it going to be enough damage, though? Ame down to about half HP, but Toronto Tokyo already dead. Maposhka caught, silenced, killed. Mira dead also. And Collapse tries to back away. Yadro, the one that's left standing amongst these fours, they buy back on the rest.
He won't die.
But the Dismember's there. The Grave. Maposhka, he got the TP back in. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. He needs to try and get away. It's too much damage. Pudge stands tall. Ame, you're too scary.
It looks really good, but that's when his health is so high, the Midnight Pulse does percentage on your current health, so he just starts dying.
And that might just be it as they're running on into the base. No buybacks on any of these heroes for Team Spirit collapse. He's the only one left alive. LGD, they're going for the tier 4s. That's it, GG.
That was a fantastic Pudge pick at the end of the draft. The final fight, he did more damage than the entirety of Team Spirit put together, and they had no way to actually bring him down. So PSG, LGD, a bit risky in the sense of the speed at which they had to play this game, but they executed, and this is what that draft can do.
Yeah, the Pudge showing at this tournament, I think we saw the buffs, and everyone was kind of curious whether people would pick him, but every day it looks better and better. It gets abused more and more. I think even the hooks, he was hitting all of his hooks consistently, and even the hooks he weren't hitting were just right off the mark.
They're zoning hooks.
Yeah.
You know, just
force the Enigma to maybe blink back.
You know what I think it is? It's that they're practicing so much on creeps now. That's what's happening. So, the pro players are getting a little bit better and making sure that they connect on them. But again, I think it's one of those moments where we looked at this win rate through the group stages, and we were kind of wondering, is this for real? Or is this Pudge hero actually this good?
I thought you meant Chen.
Well, that too, right? I mean, it's both of them now, but it still just keeps on looking this amazing. I haven't seen an answer for it. Does it need to just get banned out from this point forward, or I don't know?
I think it's really scary when you pick these weaker heroes like PL that just kind of falter versus the Pudge, and you enable it as well with the Enigma, and they try to fix it with these lane swaps, and they were really nice for Spirit, but it just ends up not being enough, and it doesn't stop him.
It felt like this was a first pick problem from Team Spirit at some point in the draft. Like it was just really well done by LGD. Obviously, they're masters of the draft right now, but in that second phase, getting that first duo and the final pick of the Pudge, it all just tied itself so well together that they were sort of forced in these lane swaps. That although they did work enough, that's still a very tough game to win.
Well, a tough game to win. We'll see if there's any new solutions to come out, but for now, game number 2 and back to the panel.
Lyrical posed some great questions there. Do you guys have any new solutions about not only the Pudge, but also the Chen that some of us think Still the same?
Pretty much. After this game, 100%, because we've been questioning if the Chen has been solved, if this problem has finally been solved. Some teams have been winning against it, but when you're playing versus PSG LGD, if you leave the heroes that are currently flavors of the meta, it's gonna go pretty badly for you, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, one of those heroes is Puck. We were surprised he got through all the way to second phase, actually picked up by LGD there, and it ended up going against Tusk in the mid. Did you guys like it? Did you think Spirit was onto something for a solution for Puck?
It seemed like they had this idea, like maybe Toronto Tokyo's played the matchup again because he showed some lane dominance. He got the solo kills there. Unfortunately, Puck still does Puck things. Like we've seen, that's why you pick the Puck into some of these counter picks. We've seen it played against Tiny. You still get the same kind of impact out of the hero once it gets to the mid game. And on the other side, you've got a Tusk where it's really tricky to get the same kind of impact. Like you go this Blink BKB, you can try and frontline to have some kills, but they just didn't have a good way to really team fight.
It felt like Team Spirit were panicking a little bit with this pick in that they wanted something that could go fight and make plays on the map. Also, there is that element of surprise. It's a lane matchup that they are betting on LGD not knowing, and it does work. They do get the kill. He's ahead in net worth. It's going well. The problem is they take this fight in bot side of map where they have a DD on the Tusk. They're feeling themselves, but Pudge is 2k net worth higher than anyone else in the game. He has a Vanguard. They try and kill him, and he just kills them back.
It makes a little bit sense when it comes to this Tusk mid lane, right? Like it runs a little bit deeper too. Like you have this minus armor against the Pudge. You're able to blow him up really quickly later on in the game. The problem is the Pudge is itemizing against the PL. How do you itemize against the PL? It's usually the Shivas, the ACs, which means that eventually he will get all the plate mills that are necessary, not to only kill Yatoro, but also to stand his ground against the Tusk.
I think the hope for a lot of Spirit fans out there is they made some really cool adjustments. Like I think they were at a really big draft disadvantage, but things like the lane swap, things like Toronto Tokyo just outplaying the Puck mid, some of these team fights where Enigma was getting black, finding the Rubik and getting these black holes off, gave them like these glimmers of hope where it felt like even against this like unkillable, unbeatable Pudge, they were actually kind of outplaying LGD in various moments.
I also want to build off of your point about Pudge and say, we talk a lot about Chen, but we never talk about the creeps. the ice armor, so powerful, adding that extra bit of armor for the Pudge to play and do what he wants early game. They had the two magic resistance, the Hellbear and the Centaur, stacking those together. They have really good creeps. These creeps buff up this type of lineup really well.
I actually want to piggyback off what God said, but in a different direction, and that is hope for the Spirit fans, is that LGD, they didn't struggle, but they looked weird when they were trying to push high ground for that first time. They actually end up dying 3 of their heroes because of that high ground push. For LGD, why do you think it was such a struggle with that push?
Okay, there were a couple of mistakes there done by PSG LGD. At the same time, however, it's mostly on the Tiny. Like, Tiny is ridiculously strong at defending that high ground. If you approach it, most likely what's happening is you're getting tossed back all the way to the fountain, if not tier 4s, right? And that's what happened. Like, Viper goes on the high ground, he gets tossed back. It's so hard to commit and fight when he's that deep in the enemy side.
Yeah, toss in, Ice Shards was blocking the ramp so they couldn't even go and help the Viper. And then I think the other kind of small issue was the Rubik, who was positioned really well in the trees, revealed himself, so Enigma hit this really nice black hole that caught the Rubik, because as long as you catch Rubik in black hole, nothing else was going to cancel it or address it.
I think their issue there a little bit was you want your Viper to be the one hitting the tower because he has the shard and he's doing the damage to it. However, he's also the one with the Force Staff, and he didn't have a BKB at that time. I think they were a little too hasty. They didn't have the second Aegis, which is what you usually use that timing to take high ground. And so when Viper dies, then your Pudge is in, he doesn't have a Force Staff to get out, and it was just fudged a little bit. It was just too